Your Worship, Mayor Bryan Paterson, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good day. Monsieur le maire Bryan Paterson, distingués invités, membres des médias, mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you can for our national anthem and the raising of the Canadian flag. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever si vous le pouvez pour notre hymne national et la levée du drapeau canadien. RCMP Inspector Retired Gary Coulter, our chairman, and Colonel Retired Bruce Ewing, who served for 39 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, who is currently our vice chairman, will raise the flag with the Canadian Military Wives Choir Kingston singing our national anthem. We'll now proceed with the unveiling of the kiosk and the 4 pillars. For the unveiling of the kiosk, I would please ask our guest of honor, General Retired Walt Natynczyk, His Worship Mayor Bryan Paterson, and Gary Coulter, our chairman, to please come forward and stand by the kiosk. If I could draw your attention to what referred to as the welcoming kiosk. Here at this entrance point, visitors will have an opportunity to see the short description of the memorial and the story behind it. For your convenience, the text etched on the kiosk is also printed in the brochure you received today. Gentlemen, please unveil the kiosk. The kiosk bronze relief was created by local artist Sylvia Picota. The detailed and historically accurate kiosk bronze relief depicts soldiers from the 3 eras in a traditional rest on arms reversed position as seen in your brochure. Le bas-relief en bronze du kiosque, détaillé et historiquement précis, représente des soldats de 3 époques différentes dans la position traditionnelle, armes renversées, comme on peut le voir dans votre brochure. Merci beaucoup, Sylvia. I would now kindly ask all the individuals who will unveil the 4 pillars to please come forward and take your position along the walkway. As you will see, the pillars each commemorate an area or event in our history as a nation. More specifically, the pillars themselves and the individual images engraved on the granite surfaces have been designed and selected to honor and recognize the commitment and sacrifices made by our fellow Canadians, past and present. At each base of each pillar is a stylized figure accompanied by a single word. These words are service, sacrifice, honor, and mourning. But these are more than just words. Together, they form the theme and foundation of this memorial. À la base de chaque tour se trouve une figure stylisée, accompagnée d'un seul mot. Service, sacrifice, honneur et deuil. The first pillar would be unveiled by Al Jones, the founding president and the National Wall Remembrance Association, who was on the board of directors from 2010 to 2020. Also, Unveiling is Cathy Sharp, Vice President Operations of iMedia Northside in Nepean, Ontario, the publishing company for Remembrance Souvenir magazine, through which we raised all the funds for this project. Cathy in gray. And last and not least, Captain Retired Deborah Saint-Gelais, the only original member of our board of directors to see the project through its 15 years. Please proceed with the unveiling. Our first pillar highlights events preceding the First World War, beginning with a painting selected to commemorate a comprehensive treaty signed in 1701 at Montreal. Notre première tour met en lumière les événements précédant la Première Guerre mondiale. Il commence par un tableau choisi pour commémorer un traité global signé en 1701 à Montréal. From here, the panels on this pillar advance through Canadian history, marking key events such as the Plains of Abrahams, the American Siege of Quebec, the War of 1812, and later the Northwest Campaign. Worth a special mention is the painting on the center panel showing the Battle of Kingston Harbor. This noble event took place in the waters directly behind us, anchoring this location quite firmly in our history. Some of these figures are giants of our past. Tecumseh, Brock, Wolfe, and Montcalm. But these are thousands, there are 1,000 others, less well known, who should not be forgotten. Pillar number 2. The second pillar will be unveiled by Jennifer Demeter, architect and owner of Fabrique Architecture and Art Limited here in Kingston. Jonathan Clark, our amazing general contractor extraordinaire from Mascon Restorations, also from Kingston. Sean Stoyles, research manager, Canadian Development Consultants International, who provided the expertise with the image selection and scripts. CSIS, Director General retired, Larry Brooks, one of our board directors, who led the committee to select the pillar images and scripts, a colossal task. This pillar is devoted entirely to the events of the First World War from 1914 to 1918. As a young nation, Canada called upon men and women from across the country to pick up the torch and serve. Cette tour est entièrement consacrée aux événements de la Première Guerre mondiale. Jeune nation, le Canada a appelé des hommes et des femmes de partout au pays à reprendre le flambeau et à servir. More than 650,000 Canadians answered the call, roughly 1/10 of our population at that time. Ypres, Somme, Passchendaele, and of course Vimy Ridge became familiar names and benchmarks to nationhood and international recognition. The pictures selected for this pillar serve to remind us of the human costs. Pillar number 3. The pillar will be unveiled by Bart Loria, one of our board directors who chairs our scholarship program. Cassandra de Bartok, another board director who serves as our webmaster. And Joel Watson, board director, our resident historian who assists with our education outreach program. Also helping to unveil the pillar is Heather Goodsell. Please proceed with the unveiling. The pictures etched on these stones speak to another generation of Canadians who endured the hardships and dangers of the Second World War. Les images gravées sur ces pierres parlent d'une autre génération de Canadiens qui ont enduré les difficultés et les dangers de la Seconde Guerre mondiale. More than 1 million soldiers, sailors, aircrew, and nurses, as well as merchant mariners, saw active duty between 1939 and 1945. From Hong Kong to Dieppe, to Antwerp, and of course, Juno Beach on D-Day, Canadians answered the call. For those who served, the war was long and arduous. These few images remind us those lost at sea and in the skies over Europe, the harsh conditions endured by prisoners of war in Southeast Asia, and the intensity of stepping off a landing craft in Normandy. These panels also honor the chaplains, nurses, and medics who cared for the wounded under the worst of conditions, risking and at times losing their own lives in the process. Pillar 4. The fourth and last pillar will be unveiled by 3 members of our board of directors: Colonel Retired Bruce Ewing, our vice chairman; Lieutenant Colonel Retired Bill Cummins, the chair of our Education Outreach; and me, Lieutenant Colonel Louis Cyr, Secretary Treasurer. This pillar recalls the conflict in Korea, the Cold War, peacekeeping operations, and Afghanistan. While the hardship and losses of the First and Second World Wars cannot be overstated, these events from 1945 to present were no less traumatic for those involved. Si les souffrances et les pertes de la Première et de Seconde Guerre mondiale ne peuvent être surestimées, ces événements de 1945 à nos jours n'ont pas moins été traumatisants pour les personnes impliquées. 26,000 Canadians supported the United Nations Command in Korea over the course of 3 years from 1950 to 1953. The Korean War Book of Remembrance in Ottawa records 516 names of those Canadians who never made it home. One needs only look at the face of Private E. Matthews, pictured in the center panel, to understand, even fleetingly, the effects of what he endured. The same holds true of the 130 Canadians taken from us while on active duty with peacekeeping missions around the world, including 9 aircrew shot down over Syria. I remember on this panel when an image of a Buffalo aircraft similar to the one they were flying on the day of the tragedy. The final panel memorializes our soldiers engaged in a more recent conflict in Afghanistan. The painting, titled "Fallen at the Top," was selected by the veterans who unveiled this pillar for you today. Each of them saw active duty in Afghanistan, and for them, the scene captured the memory and emotion of the moment. The last 2 photographs engraved on these panels are very well known to Canadians. What more could be said about our last image than this? It's called the Highway of Heroes. While not yet born, and thus we did not participate in the Korean War, the 3 of us, like many other veterans present here today, served during the 3 other time frames which this pillar represents. As such, this pillar, out of them all, especially resonates with us. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the unveiling portion of our ceremony. We hope that these paintings, photographs, and sculptures will always serve to remind us of the people who lived our history and the sacrifices they made. We'd like to point out to you that when you go forward to look more closely to examine these pillars and images, please also note the 4 benches placed for people to sit and reflect. Each has a separate quotation, specifically chosen by our board of directors, that honors our fallen. I would now invite our guest of honor, General Retired Walt Natynczyk, former Chief of Defense Staff from 2008 to 2012, and who recently volunteered to become a patron of our association, to say a few words. J'invite maintenant notre invité d'honneur, le général à la retraite Walt Natynczyk, chef d'état-major de la défense de 2008 à 2012, qui s'est récemment porté volontaire pour devenir membre mécène de notre association, à dire quelques mots. Mon général.
Well, good day, everyone. Can you hear me? Thank you all for attending this ceremony today, where we are paying homage to the tens of thousands of Canadians who made the ultimate sacrifice in the service of our nation. Merci d'être présent aujourd'hui à cette cérémonie où nous rendons hommage aux dizaines de milliers de Canadiens qui ont fait le sacrifice ultime au service de notre nation. Before going any further, I would like to thank the members of the National Wall of Remembrance Association for their exemplary and steadfast efforts over many years to to organize, to fund, and to erect this beautiful tribute to our fallen. Bravo to you all. And equally, I wish to thank and congratulate the mayor, the councilors, and the leadership from the City of Kingston for the close and collaborative partnership to achieve this great monument of remembrance. Let's give them all a round of applause. We gather here today on sacred ground. Nous nous réunissons ici aujourd'hui sur une terre sacrée. Here along the Kingston waterfront, where the wind carries the whispers of Canada's military history, together we unveil an enduring tribute to Canada's fallen heroes. Today we dedicate this national memorial to the fallen. Aujourd'hui, nous inaugurons le monument commémoratif national aux Canadiens tombés au combat, a memorial that was conceived, planned, and funded by the contributions of individual, caring, and very generous Canadians. This noble monument of stone and bronze embodies a solemn promise that our nation will never forget the over 120,000 Canadians who are given their lives in the service to our nation. These grounds, this park, are now home to these 4 tall granite pillars carved with powerful significance and standing in quiet strength. And at their center, the Canadian flag flies high and proudly in honor of those who serve to protect Canada. And beneath it, the memorial rests on a stone shaped in the form of a compass, a reflection of the far corners of the world where Canadians have deployed to fulfill their duty of service to enable security, peace, and humanity. But even more poignant than the structure itself are the stories of the individuals who are honored here. And every one of the over 120,000 names commemorated today is recorded in the books of remembrance housed in the Memorial Chamber of Parliament Hill in Ottawa. Each of these pillars of this memorial reflects a chapter in Canada's military history. And each of these chapters came with sacrifice, each with heartbreak, and each with courage that defies comprehension. And carved at the base of each pillar are those 4 powerful words: service, sacrifice, honor, mourning. Et gravé à la base de chaque tour se trouvent 4 mots puissants: service, sacrifice, honneur, deuil. These words reflect the realities of the shared experience by every person who has worn the uniform. As we reflect together, we must pause and remind ourselves those we remember today were folks just like us, with full lives, with families, and with hope for a better future. They were young and old, ils parlent français, and they were English-speaking, Indigenous and settlers, European, Black, Asian, and immigrants from around the world. Men and women from every province and territory, from prairie farms and Atlantic harbors, from big cities and remote communities. Some signed up to fight for king and country. Others were conscripted in times that were desperate. Some volunteered with quiet conviction. All of them stood in the space between danger and the people that they loved. They are the reason that we are able to gather in freedom today. And when we say their names are remembered, it is truly heartfelt. The 8 books of remembrance hold every name, handwritten with care, page after page. And every morning on Parliament Hill, a soldier stands in silence as the page is turned to honor a different group of the fallen. But this memorial, this place in this beautiful city of Kingston, is where memory becomes personal. Here, families may come, veterans may reflect, children may learn, Canadians may pay their respects to duty and sacrifice. This is a space for the living, shaped by the lives of the fallen. And here, against the backdrop of Lake Ontario and beside the watchful tower, with the watchful walls of the Murney Tower, we make a national promise that memory will not fade with time, that sacrifice will not be forgotten, that service will be honored every day of the year. Many of the names we honor today did not fall in battle, but in training, in preparation for operations, or through the invisible wounds of combat. And behind these names are grieving families, Silver Cross mothers, grief-stricken spouses, children without the understanding of why their loving parents weren't returning home, and siblings who wondered what could have been. The cost of conflict reaches far beyond the battlefield, and that is why the names of each of the fallen are also written on the National Wall of Remembrance Association's online virtual memorial, where the association is assembling information on every one of the fallen. C'est pourquoi les noms de chacun des disparus sont également inscrits sur le mémorial virtuel en ligne de l'Association de la Mémoire commémorative nationale, où l'association rassemble des informations sur chacun des disparus. It's a noble objective which will keep alive the memories of those who died for Canada. And it is an integral part of the association's effort to help educate Canadians, especially our youth. Il s'agit d'un noble objectif qui contribuera à perpétuer la mémoire de ceux qui sont morts au combat pour le Canada. Il s'inscrit également dans les efforts de l'association pour sensibiliser les Canadiens, en particulier nos jeunes. This memorial also honors those who serve today. To our soldiers, sailors, aviators, and Special Forces personnel, you carry forward the tradition of service that is unmatched in honor and scope. You serve not for glory, but to protect, not to dominate, but to defend, not to seek war, but to enable peace. This memorial challenges us to live remembrance, to teach our youth, to understand the cost of freedom and democracy, to visit places like this and tell our children what these symbols mean. Because freedoms are not guaranteed, democracy is not self-sustaining, and peace, though deeply cherished, is always fragile. And let us ensure that monuments like this are not just symbols, but places of education, reflection, and national pride. And so today, on this solemn occasion, in this sacred space, we speak with one voice as one nation. To the fallen, we remember you. We honor you. We will carry your legacy forward. Alors aujourd'hui, en cette occasion solennelle, dans cet lieu sacré, nous nous exprimons d'une seule voix, comme une seule nation. À ceux qui sont tombés au combat, nous nous souvenons de vous. Nous vous honorons et nous perpétuerons votre héritage. Let this memorial stand as a watchtower. Let it speak when we fall silent. Let it guide us like the compass beneath our feet. And let it remind us that our freedom was won by sacrifice of our national treasures, the sons and daughters of Canada. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Au coucher du soleil et au matin, nous nous souviendrons d'eux. Thank you. Merci.
His Worship Bryan Paterson, Mayor of Kingston, and whom, as of today, will be custodian of this memorial, will also say a few words.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What a tremendous honor and a privilege it is to welcome all of you here for the official unveiling of the National Wall of Remembrance. This is an incredibly special and significant moment for our community. And so thank you for taking the time to join us as we mark this key moment, not only for our community, but for our country. I do want to especially welcome and thank General Natynczyk. Thank you for joining us here today. MP Gerritsen, MPP Shu, a number of my city council colleagues, city staff, and many of our current and former military leaders and military members here in our community. It's just incredibly special for me to see all of you here. It's hard to believe it was just a short time ago that a few of us gathered right here for an official groundbreaking of this National Wall of Remembrance. And I can tell you that being here today and seeing this incredible space, it far exceeds my expectations. A project like this doesn't happen by accident. So I want to say a very special, heartfelt thank you to all of the members of the board of the National Wall of Remembrance. It's been many years of hard work, perseverance, but your vision and your work today have created an incredibly important space. And so again, thank you. Thank you to all of you for being here today. And of course, thank you to all of our current and former military members and veterans for your service to our community and country. It's because of you that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have in this wonderful country of Canada. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, for your kind words and for being such a great host in the very first capital of Canada. I would now invite Gary Coulter, our chairman, to say a few remarks. J'invite maintenant Gary Coulter, notre président, à prendre la parole.
Your Worship, Mayor Paterson, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today at this very special ceremony. Bonjour à tous. Merci beaucoup de votre présence pour cette cérémonie et dévoilement. I just want to highlight and thank in very general terms all those who have helped make this possible, this beautiful memorial to our fallen. Most of them are listed in your brochure. It's quite a team. First and foremost, the present members of our National Wall of Remembrance Association Board of Directors, who especially over the past 5 years have moved mountains to bring this memorial to fruition, dedicating untold hours of their lives to this great cause. Second, all the previous members of the Board of Directors who either helped to get the project started or helped to keep it alive as we raised funds to make it a reality. Some are here today. Chronologically, please stand up. Alan Jones, founding chairman. Alan, you hiding? Oh, there you are. Helen Jones, Mrs. Jones. I'm sure you had something to do with this. Major General retired Walt Holmes. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your amazing contribution over the years. Fourth, businesses across Canada who provided funding through advertisements to our online version of Remembrance souvenir. And finally, the numerous companies, many local, which helped not only to plan and build the memorial, but also often provided services at greatly reduced prices. Everybody loves a bargain. Thank you very much. Merci à tous infiniment. Thank you.
Take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand, if you can, for the royal anthem, God Save the King. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever si vous le pouvez pour l'hymne royal, God Save the King.
God save our
As a final note for this memorial, I strongly urge you to come visit at night, as the lighting gives it a totally different and more somber perspective to commemorate our fallen. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our unveiling ceremony for the new National Memorial to the Fallen. We'd like to sincerely thank you for your participation today. As indicated in the brochure, a reception will follow at the Fort Frontenac's Officers' Mess for those invited guests. Distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, ceci conclut la cérémonie d'inauguration du nouveau monument commémoratif national aux Canadiens tombés au combat. Nous tenons à vous remercier sincèrement de votre participation aujourd'hui. Comme indiqué dans la brochure, une réception suivra au musée officier du Fort Frontenac pour les invités. Merci beaucoup.